This is the first time I'm doing this. First interviewing of one of my clients. Um, I'm waiting for her to come through. It'd be good for you to have a feel of the clients I work with, have a clear understanding of our relationship. I thought I'd start with this one, and I'll get her to introduce herself once I've added her. Apologies in advance, because this is my first interview. So it might be a bit, but you'll get the vibe of what Melissa's like and my clients are like. I mean, that's the idea really, is to get a vibe of me and my clients together and our relationship. What happens in the locked room? What happens? Ooh, what happens in the locked room when Melissa is alone with her clients? What happens in the locked room when Melissa's alone with her clients? So, Patrice, thank you so
Yeah.
much for allowing this session to happen. And this is
Mhm.
chat. This is a chat because, like, our relationship is private, right? Nobody really,
Absolutely.
like, my clients come in and I do their hair and then they leave. So it's gives people a kind of a feel of what it's like to experience Melissa Blake as your loctician, right? So that's why this session is really important. So, okay. So first of all, Patrice, just give a background with regards to your hair. That'd be good.
Yeah.
To your hair, right?
Okay. So from my beginning in my life, I
No,
guess.
just a general idea for you to then get to this point where you're like, you know what? Because you didn't really even choose Knotted Locs. So you just chose Melissa, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really
Yeah.
important. When I try and explain Knotted Locs, people don't understand that it's a combination of, okay, I do this creative stuff, but ultimately, like my person, it's me. It's more than it's beyond the knots. I always say it's beyond the knots. So when you choose Melissa trusting that I'm going to do something that's going to be lead to maximum fullness continually. But the detailing of that is hard for me to articulate. Does that make sense? So I think it'll be good for people to
Yeah.
understand your relationship with your hair and why it was important for you to choose. Like you didn't choose the exact thing that you're experiencing now. So we'll talk about that later on, but just give people a feel of how your relationship with your hair and how you came to decide on Melissa to do
Yeah.
your hair.
All
Yeah.
right. So I am, just for context, I guess I'm 36 years old. And my mum had relaxed my hair on a couple of occasions when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And then in my young adulthood, I had decided I was going to grow my relaxed hair out. When I learned more about the craziness that's in relaxer, but also the strength that is in our hair, and the melanin and stuff. So I then spent about 10 years to 15 years loving my hair, getting to really know my hair in its natural state, all of the different textures that exist in my one head, how they changed, the products needed, the porosity. I then started making my own products, blah, blah, blah. So I've been on a long journey with my hair and felt like I really got to understand it, which is so rare in our community as a Black community, because we're not taught how to care for our hair. And we're not, well, especially at that time, being a natural girl was rare. It wasn't like now you want to be have natural products. You can get them in Tesco, right? Oh, hello.
I
Can
can
you
hear
hear me?
you, love. There
Oh,
was
it cut out a bit.
instability, but yeah. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you were referring to the past and right what's happening now with our natural hair. Like you can find things now in Tesco, you were saying for natural hair, but
Yeah,
back then
you
you
can
couldn't
find
find these
things in
products.
Tesco.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. And it was rare that there were salons that you could go to get real advice and things like that. This was non-existent. So I spent a lot of time reading and with my hair. And I had always said, so I'd seen your work for a long time, but as a young lady, I always thought it was too early to lock my hair. So in my head, I was like, when I'm ready, it's going to be Melissa. And there were
Right.
a couple times that I had even contacted you and explored pricing and things like that. Never ever come and sat in your chair, but I always, I think, wasn't ready because I loved exploring with my hair, right?
Right.
And then I was, right? And I said,
Yeah.
okay. In my head, I was like, when I get to between 35 and 40, I wanted to already have a lovely set of locks. I didn't
Okay.
want to start my journey at that age. I had got to a place where I decided, okay, I think I've done a lot. I shaved it, whatever, right? And the first thing I guess was watching your work over many, many years. It was always consistent.
Even with the sister
All
locks,
the
was I
ladies.
sister locks when you first found me? Was I sister locks when you?
So I can't remember. You probably
Okay.
were, but I
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay.
I just knew they were small
Okay.
and they looked full
Okay.
and they looked nice.
Okay.
And that was in comparison to loads of different hair that I'd seen. My texture, for me, I guess, because I have so many different textures, I know that my
Right.
hair is very particular, like my personality, to be honest.
Yes, Patrice. I
Right?
told you about your hair.
My strands are fine, very soft, very coily, and I don't trust much people within my hair. I don't think many people do anyway, but anyway. Um, and yeah, that thing about I never used to see too much scalp. And when I used to see some people's hair, I used to think, "Oh, there's so much scalp, and my hair's already fine. I don't want my scalp to be on display all the time." Yeah. So I remember when I first called you, you were like, well, have you, you were like, well, have you explored anyone else? It's like you wanted to make sure that people had explored other people. And I remember at first saying to you, I don't need to. And you were like, yes, you do. I was like, no, I don't think you understand. I don't need to, Melissa, because I've done my little thing, right? So
Right.
anyway, because you're pushing me, I had to go and do more exploration. No, but it's good because you really wanted me to have a clear understanding about the
Yeah.
different types of locks that exist. And
Yeah.
you wanted to, even though, regardless of me being sure and
Yeah.
doing more, you wanted to make sure that the person is doing the work, the research, and that I've had the
Yeah.
understanding. And I did go back and do a little bit more and had a little nosy, and I still felt the same. And that's important, right?
Yeah.
So
That is
anyway, so
important.
then it's important. So
Yeah.
then it came to the time to do a consultation with you. And the biggest thing that stood out for me is your you were building your relationship with my hair like I built my relationship with my hair.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't like it when people want to tell me about my hair because I know my hair well, right?
Right.
I spent so many years exploring. Of course, I don't know everything. We can always learn something new, right? But I spent so much time trying to understand what my hair needs. And for the most part, it just needs space. Yeah, it just needs
Yep.
space, some love, some
Yep.
water,
Yep.
nourishment, just like plants. Yeah, it just
Yep.
needs that. But you understood that and you took I remember you exploring my hair and talking about the different strands and talking about this part, that part. And I was like, okay, okay, this lady gets it.
Yeah. Present.
Because otherwise,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have had to say no. Because
Yes.
it's not by force. These things are not by force. You
No.
can't just be going in there and
No.
forcing your way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And there are so many, you see so many black women now that have really, some women, they get it. You do a twist out, even if you want to do a twist out of your natural hair, you
Right.
know, it's got to do its thing. And accepting that your hair is going to do its thing,
Yeah.
and not trying to tame it or whatever, being alongside it, working with it. So that was the biggest thing for me that made me feel safe and comfortable.
That's good, Patrice. That's good to hear. We've chatted about this, right? But it's really good to hear it again this way.
Yeah,
Because Patrice, when I'm
yeah,
chatting with you, I'm on your hair, aren't I? And also I'm in a different
yeah,
space. Yeah. So Mel's
yeah,
like, what to do with this strand? Where am I putting this? I have a different face on. So to actually not be in your hair and to like this to hear you is great for
yeah,
me. Because
yeah.
Patrice,
The
all I
thing is,
want, go on, say that. Say what
no,
you
go on. What do you want?
Patrice, all I wanted to do, yeah, because my issue was the inconsistency of the delivery of service that I experienced with our hair and the change that
Yes.
happened. Let's say the person was nice and present, and then all of a sudden they're just vacant, you know what I mean? And they're not there. And you're like, she's on autopilot. She's just vexed, she's just upset doing my hair. What was really important to me, and I made a promise that I would stay present. So it's really important that I'm hearing this. And what I want to do now is ask you about comparing. So when you first met me, and then I was present on your hair and I was telling you about your hair, obviously you know that changes happened because you discovered me
Yeah.
interlocking. And then here I come with nothing, right?
So
Yeah,
when I first sat in your chair,
right.
I think I was one of the first that you did the
Yes,
knotting on.
right,
Yeah. And I hadn't seen that. So for
right.
me, it was a little surprise,
Yes,
right? Because I had seen what you've been doing. I had seen your hair as well. And
right.
the thing is, and one thing that you are consistent about is you can't predict. You don't know. You're always like, I don't know,
It's so
until you're with the
frustrating.
hair.
Yeah,
No, do you know what? If as a person
right.
you're not able to sit in that space of a bit of ambiguity, or how everyone might say, trust the process,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
trust the
yeah, yeah,
process.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're not able to sit, and I know I'm quite inquisitive, I'll say inquisitive, not a warrior. All right, because I have a lot of questions. I know I
Yeah,
have a lot of questions
yeah,
and I reflect a
yeah,
lot. I'm quite analytical, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I know, as much as I might ask all of that, I am still quite good at sitting with the unknown.
And
That's
exploration. I have
okay.
to say, you're an
Yeah,
explorer. You're an expansive thinker. You're super
yeah.
creative, right? And very intelligent with it.
Oh, bless you.
No, you are. So that's why me and you can like off each
Yeah.
other easily because I get it. Like I feel
And that's
safe with
and
you
that's
as a
but
client.
that's
I
the
feel
trust
safe with
as
you.
well.
Yes, there's
Oh,
absolutely
thank
that.
you.
No, totally.
I'm
We chat.
saying, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We just
But
agree to
also,
disagree. But
but
there's a
also
love there and a
because
respect there.
exactly. But
Yeah.
because you are consistent in that, you might say I don't know, but what that means is, for someone else that might not know you here listening, is actually you saying I don't know means I just need to be present in what it is I'm doing. I need to be aligned with your hair. I need to be aligned with the energy in the room. I need to just be grounded. I can't give you information about something that I'm not, sorry, I'm just not there right now.
Yeah, not in the
And
future.
right. And because I've seen your consistency and I've sat in that chair where you have explored my hair and been at one with it, and I have that trust, it's okay for me. I understand that when you say that. And of course, there is a part of the unknown, especially when it is your hair. It's like, as women, this is our crown, yeah. And maybe that's where the worrying might come in, because there is something about sitting in that space that's sometimes uncomfortable, yeah. But because of how you are as a person and that relationship, it just grounds you in those moments. And then we can chat and it just grounds you. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's a very spiritual process. I
Yeah, I
think
think,
having locks is a spiritual process
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Patrice, I think that's why I say to people, go and search, because I'm different. Like
Yeah.
I'm different. Like I'm different. So that's why I feel like I say to people, and the good thing is I'm on social media. So I feel like go and have a feel of me, because really what you're getting is all of Melissa in my most creative mode that I can be in, to give you
Mm.
exactly the results I know your hair requires. So that's sometimes why I have to even shut out the owner of the hair. Sometimes I have to say, I know that's what you
Mm.
want. I know that's what you want, but that's not what it's saying it wants. And that's the
Yeah,
conflict.
100%.
Yeah, that's the conflict. I
100%.
always say that. Like sometimes the owner goes, I want that. And I'm like, this texture's telling me, right, this zone is telling me something different. I can't do what you want. I have to do what the hair wants, simply because we're trying to talk about sustainability. We're talking about sustainability in terms of wearing your small size locks and making the
Mm.
hair happy. And sometimes the hair's not happy when you're doing something that the owner wants, but it's not like that. That's the bit that's why I feel like you've got to trust, because I will always do what the hair needs. Like the hair
But I
comes
think
first.
that's like life as well, isn't it? Like what you might want isn't necessarily what you need
True.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
These things
True.
don't always align, or they don't align. Like your head and your heart might not align, what you think or you feel might not align. And again, it goes back to that being able to sit in a space where not everything might make sense, not everything might always feel right, but
Yeah.
it's just trusting that actually you're getting along somewhere and being patient, really.
Yeah.
And each process is each process is beautiful in itself, whether it's your length, whether it's, going through your regrowth, getting your retie, whatever it is, it's each moment is sacred for
It
its
is.
own reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's what I say, as like when you leave, especially now where the appointment is as and when you choose, every experience is gorgeous. Up to the point where you
Mm.
go, Mel, if you got a space, and then I get you a space. Let's say there isn't space for the ideal time you want. It's fine for more in the future. Everything is sacred. Everything is special. And I feel like every time people sit in my chair, it's like divinely chosen. I know that that's the other appointment you wanted. Just like how I know you wanted your hair like this, but like this is a divinely chosen moment for you. It's hard to articulate when you're providing and delivering a service. And for
Mm.
me, it's super, super detailed. So what I feel like I want to know, Patrice, is like
Mm.
clearly I was doing something different, and then I just did knotted locks on your hair,
Mm.
right, from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, like, what was that like for you, and what has it been like for you then, and what it's like for you now would be great to hear for me.
So, so it's a few things. I think the first thing is separate to you. It's more when you are going through locking your hair for the first time, there is a big, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look ugly, or my hair's gonna do that. So there's that. But I think the shock was when you knot, so much length is so much, right? And even though you say it, you can't prepare someone for that. I think that's just a process that's up. Because I remember the first day, I remember feeling, I was like, oh, this is because my hair was like hair, big, right? And it came down to this with a bit of
Yeah.
end. And I remember feeling being like, ooh, is it? And I remember at one point, I think I even said to you, is it meant to be that short? And I think I had maybe at one point like 5 minutes literally of, oh, this is mad short, right? But when it was done, I was just like, this is lovely. And I had this cute little pixie and I just dyed it. So it was like super, super ginger. Um, and it was gorgeous. And even I
Gorgeous.
even have moments now where I'm just like, because you used to say you enjoy it being this short, it's never gonna
Yeah.
be this short again. I'm like, yeah, I think I am enjoying it, but oh my gosh, don't I wish that I had that little short for a little bit of time. But straight away, like the same. I remember I went to see one of my, was it the same day? I think I went to see one of my girls and I was in the lift and I took a picture in the lift. As I just had this short, little cute pixie and it was lovely. It was lovely,
And
lovely, lovely.
scalp?
And the way, oh, no pulling. Because my scalp is sensitive, but I had no scalp worries. Um, it was just different. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think the trusting the process, you're just trusting the process. But I think that would be whether it's your knotted locks or any locks, there's something about taking that journey and trusting it in the first time. Um,
Absolutely.
that
You
is
have to
probably for
trust.
everyone.
Yeah. It's relationship based, isn't it?
Mm.
That's what I feel like. I feel like it's relationship based. And even I'm surprised, right? I'm surprised at the result. You know, I'm surprised at the result. Even now, when I finish your hair, I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's so
And
cute. It's so
yeah,
cute.
yeah. It's just so cute. So that's the thing is like, I feel like that's what my life is about. Like I go into things, I start with love. So I feel connected. If I don't feel connected with you, there's no way I'm going to do your hair. Why would I? Because I need to enjoy the process to be at my
Yeah,
best.
and I wouldn't, and same, I wouldn't come if I didn't
Yeah,
feel it. I wouldn't be
totally.
able to. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally. And so once we establish that, everything else between us, okay, right? I choose you and me creating. Literally, Patrice,
Mm.
when we first started this process, I was just going to be redoing your hair regular.
Mm, 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 mm.
I do your hair, I don't even know,
Yeah, 4 months,
4 months.
about 4 months.
Yeah, so that's 3 times a year. Like, what is that for like for you? Considering you chose me then, I've done your hair, I've done the knotted locks, you're experiencing it now, and like I see you like as and when, like 3 times a year. How is that for you? And the vision you had for your locks when you first decided you
Mm.
wanted your hair.
So I always knew I didn't. There were things, for example, not that I want to complain about Sisterlocks. I think everyone, I've got quite a few friends that have them, but I think I wanted to make sure that I was able to oil my hair, wet my hair, things like that. Important because I'd done so much work on what I think that my hair needed before. And so I needed to make sure that whatever I was doing was matching that. So the fact that I can still do those things and give my hair what it needs throughout the growing period is really important for me. Um, and it's nice that I don't feel burdened by having to go and do something every 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Um, and it can be like a relaxing day. It's meant to be a relaxing day to get your hair done or your nails done or something. So it's nice that actually, Melissa has a little massage chair, guys, and she makes you tea
Yeah.
and burns incense and listens to soul music. And it's lovely. Half the time I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Half the time I'm asleep. Um, or I'm doing some work
Or you're working.
and
Yeah.
and we're vibing and we're talking. When I go
Yeah.
silent, you just let me sleep. When I want to chat your ear off, you let me chat your ear off.
Lovely,
If you
Patrice.
want to give me some advice, you give me some advice. It's
Yeah.
lovely. It's like,
It's gorgeous.
yeah, it's like a family. It's like I'm going to my auntie's house or something. It's not
Yeah.
like, you know,
It's black.
I love your kids, you know, Melissa's kids, they're my lock twins, right? And so it's nice.
It's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, and that's what it's
it's
meant to
nice.
be every time. You come in with your, first of all, I had to get my head around the fact that, and I've gotten used to it, that when you come in, 3 months, 4 months, it doesn't matter. Your hair just they love each other so much.
Oh my God.
They just like hugging, kissing, one leg over, one curl over there. So, like,
They
finally,
just
I get
match.
it.
Like if my hair wanted to do free form locks, like chunky,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would
yeah.
be like
We do. Yeah,
instant. Yeah.
easily, easily, easily. I
So
feel like
that's one of the things like we're working on at the moment. And, guys, Melissa's really supportive and just helped me to think about how do we maintain my hair in between the times. So I think that's the next goal for me, is just to be able to support the separation or working out what works better for them in between that time. And
It's getting better,
like,
Patrice.
yeah,
Our last session
okay.
was great. Like our last session, we finished, and then you were
And
like,
I think
"Wait,
they're
you
really
finished?"
liking, yeah, and I think they're
Yeah.
really liking the little bits, because I know you were like looking at a couple things, changing a couple things, and I think they're really actually in a good way at the moment. Funny enough, yeah.
You know
So
what, Patrice? It's like everything in life, relationship. It takes time. We're impatient.
of course,
Even I recognize my impatience. But actually, when you realize, okay, this is the characteristics, the nature of the one you love or the plants that you're growing, and you adapt, it's interesting. Because all it took is for me to remember, because you know I don't store. So
yeah,
it had to happen a few times. And I was like, okay, I need to store that. So therefore, when you came and sat in the chair, I was like, Patrice, we know we tangled. And you're like, you got it finally. I'm like, yes. So because I
yeah,
kept with that, and also you done the work to keep them separated, it was fine. But all that is like with the Sisterlocks practice, it's like giving people the art of learning how to form a relationship with their hair so they can separate it. That's all that's happened with Knotted Locks, is that I'm giving you space, which is what you wanted, to actually understand your texture and
yeah.
keep it separated. So you form a relationship with your hair, curl, coil, characteristic African texture hair, with it being in locks. That's
And in
really
your defense, if I wanted to come earlier, I know you wouldn't be against it either.
oh,
Like if I was to come like a month earlier or something, it would
oh,
also be fun.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
nice when the hair goes out and it's a bit puffier. Oh, it's lovely when it's out here and sitting out and stuff.
Yeah. When I looked for my Sister Locks consultant, I searched and I was really particular. But remember, when I even did Sister Locks way back, like there wasn't that many. But I was really
Mm,
particular about certain things, and I realized that the person changed and all that. So what was really good is to hear you understand your hair, and then
mm,
it matches how I feel about everyone's hair. Felt like that was really good to hear that. It matches how I feel about everyone's hair. Because we're supposed to be forming this relationship with our hair, Patrice. We're supposed to be forming a relationship with our hair. And when we were younger and our parents, like our mums or aunties, were dealing with our hair, you kind of had to, yeah. So I felt like we have this, I don't know, indoctrination, this unsaid rule, like just sit
mm,
down, shut up, and get your hair done. And I feel like
mm,
that's the practice throughout. People just sit down, shut up, get your hair done, right? But actually, it shouldn't be like that. At this stage of our life, as grown people, we should begin to form a relationship with our Afro hair. And I just don't agree, even though I do locks work, that you should just put it away on a regular basis. Just
mm,
put your Afro hair away and have these locks that are pretty because they're small size. And I'm just like, no, you should be able to go right. Now I want to see you now to get my hair done. And I shouldn't be counting. I shouldn't be saying, well, I've
mm,
not seen you in the last, now it's 5 months or whatever. You should have the freedom to go, actually, I really liked how my hair felt.
mm,
And I
mm, mm,
liked it like that for another month. I felt like it. So that's what I
mm,
really like about it, is the fact that you were like, I can, even though like I can come early, I actually like that stage where my hair is all puffy. Um, and I think the puffiness is people worry about managing the growth,
mm,
but actually it's fine because you're learning to do that. Anyway, that's an ongoing process.
mm,
Learning
mm, mm, mm,
work with your growth is an ongoing process, right? So I really like that.
mm.
So in all now, since your hair has been knotted and there's color in your hair, should we talk about the color? Or
We
you going to
can.
say
I just
something
want to
else?
mention something of what you said though. I just wanted to add and say that it's something about taking responsibility.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's something about you taking ownership of, yeah, building that relationship, but trying to understand what your hair needs. Because it's something you can go, like with Sister Locks, or some other locks, people are saying 6 weeks. You can go and do that every 6 weeks, in and out, or you get a little bit of growth, can come back to you, you do the hair. But then at what stage do you say, do I know what my hair wants? How do I give my hair get what it needs? You
Right.
know, even Aaron said to me, you know, we speak about moving abroad and things like that. It's like, how would I manage my hair if I was to travel for a longer period of time, or if I was to live somewhere else, or you know, say if God forbid your sister lock technician isn't available that 6 week, what are you gonna do? COVID, for example, yeah. What are you gonna do? How are you going to be able to understand what your hair needs? It's not like on that thing, I'll just sit down, shut up, get your hair done. You do, there's a disconnect between you and your hair then, isn't it? And you and your scalp. Or taking your hair out of the braids, you wash it, you put it back in, you must blow dry it in between, you must, you know, there's a disconnect. It creates such a disconnect.
You know, the result of that, Patrice, what you're talking about is the baldness.
Yes.
Is the bald
Yeah, absolutely. Mash
Patrice,
up, your head mash up.
mush, Patrice. I ask people, where were you? You know, they're like, oh yeah, I've had
Alopecia,
Sisterlocks for a number of
alopecia,
years. Where were
alopecia.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I say to them, where were you in all of this? Where were you? There is accountability. You're grown. Every
Yeah.
6 weeks, you're getting your hair done. Don't you feel something? You're like, wait, is it a bit?
But also, it's like, oh, if something's hurting, like even with you, I remember like if even I remember when I used to braid my hair, get my hair braided, yeah, and I used to say to my girl, that one's feeling a bit tight. You have to undo that one, yeah. Or if you're doing something, you're in the flow. You're not heavy-handed, Mel, but my hair scalp's sensitive. If you're in the flow and you're doing my hair and it hurts, I'll let you know. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
hurting me. You're gonna have
yeah,
to
yeah,
ease up
yeah,
because at the end of the day, I'm responsible.
totally,
I can't then say to you, oh, my head. I'm
totally,
responsible.
totally. Because the hair tells you. The hair tells you, right, that this hurts. It's a warning. So
Mm.
when you say, Mel, I can feel that. I'm like, okay, I have to pressure. The pressure has to be different. The way I handle it, hold it,
Mm,
has to be different for each
mm,
one.
mm, mm,
And it's about slowing down. It's about slowing down and hearing the hair. And also, Patrice, it's also about just non-verbal communication. If you're
mm,
doing
mm,
that
mm.
a bit, like when I used to do that in the Sisterlocks chair, she'd be like, keep still. Patrice, sometimes we're in the flow
Yeah,
of chatting. Let's say we're passionate about a topic, and then you do that. I know immediately that I need
yeah,
to ease up because I'm obviously pulling. You know, it's like
yeah,
just being accountable for both the person who's doing your hair and for you wearing it. If we just
absolutely.
be accountable and stop labeling it or whatever, because the thing is that, Patrice, sometimes I might do your hair and you feel no pulling, no
Mm,
pain, no
mm, mm,
nothing.
mm.
Another time you might be coming down with something and you
Yes.
don't
What
even
about the
know.
time in a month? When it's time in a month,
Yeah,
everyone, every lady, they're just
everyone.
sensitive
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, 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 yeah. So that my responsibility is to respond. And I always say this, like, because I communication for me, most people starts here. Sometimes it's unique, it starts at the back, but most people it starts here. And so even when I work with a client and I go, how are you? And they
Mm,
go, fine, or whatever, I can tell they're not fine. And so the hair shows me that the person's not fine. I have to change my hand. That is the result of the maximum fullness. That is really hard to articulate, which is why I feel like it's great to bring my clients on to have these conversations because so people understand it's not just the knots. It is me touching your hair, knowing that this person wants to
mm, mm.
cry. This person wants to cry. This person is having a hard time. I can tell from their
Mm.
hair. So I have to ease up. I don't need to let them know what I'm doing, but I need to ease up because if
Yeah,
breaking, Patrice, and you're breaking down, and I come and brock up you more, how is that helping the situation? How is that help? That's what
absolutely.
like if you're going through a hard time and then your hair starts thinning, Patrice, can you imagine? You're getting older and your hair is thinning and thinning and thinning, and your hair showed signals and communicated with you pretty early on that they've become allergic to that hand. Because that's the other thing I explain to people is sometimes
Mm.
your hair likes something and then they change, they're allowed to change and they're allergic to that process. And that's fine to go, right, it doesn't work for me, move on to a different experience. But the cost of like losing your, I just, I
Mm.
just want women to understand the cost of losing your hair when somebody's in your hair continually is your responsibility. That's what you're saying. You have to be accountable. It's your responsibility to actually be aware of what's going on. And that's why I always say to people, the easiest bottom line, take pictures. If you just take pictures, you will basically know if something is off key or not. Are you taking pictures,
But you
Patriche?
have to be in your scalp. I take pictures every time we do my hair. And I don't have anything that's concerning for me to take pictures of specifically, but I'll take pictures of myself. I don't particularly take pictures outside, but every single time we do my hair at yours, I always take a set of pictures of my scalp around, and I keep a little folder of my hair.
And some people would
So I can
recognize
see.
you that I share your hair pictures. They probably would recognize. What about your color, love? Should we talk about your color and your love for color?
Yes. So I colored my hair 3 days maybe before I did it. It was so fresh. And I think I have touched it up on 2 occasions. And at the moment, I can't remember the last time I did it, which is lovely. So I have this, I don't know if you can see, but I've got this lovely ombre going from brown to light brown. And I'm leaving it because I want to really test to see if there is a big difference between the hair that's colored and the hair that's not.
Texture-wise.
Yeah, texture-wise.
Yeah.
And actually, my goal was to always have this ombre anyway
It's
of
really
dark hair to the
beautiful.
light.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that
Beautiful.
I've got it going at the moment.
Yeah.
It's lovely. So
Yeah, it's nice.
I have been tempted recently to re-dye because I just love it when it's bright ginger from the scalp. But I'm okay. I'm all right at the moment. I'm enjoying it.
What people ask me about color all the time, Patrice, and I always
Yeah.
say you have to have the experience of it. Some people's hair, because I feel like when I touch people's hair who have had color, it's kind of like a slight perm. It's like it slight changes the texture of your hair.
Well, it always strips. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
what you do,
yeah,
it strips layers and it's acidic. So we know that
yeah,
it damages
yeah.
the follicle itself. Not the follicle itself, the strand.
Strands,
But
yeah.
I think what people don't know is there's different levels. So I don't have any bleach in my hair. I just have like a high lift. So it's gently lifted the hair strands. But my hair is very, very soft. It's very, very fine. And I did quite a lot of testing on my hair before actually doing my hair itself. And because of how my strands were, we wouldn't add bleach. I think my colorist did say that because your hair locked is a bit more dense, you can probably add a bit more bleach or something like that later, like afterwards it being locked. And I know at the front she wanted to add a bit more to like highlight around my face. But yeah, I think it's really dependent on, and even with locks, it depends. Some people are really connected to length, and you don't need to be so connected to length. I think you can chop some of your lock off or a couple of them in a way that wouldn't damage your layers and really test the hair before dyeing
Yeah.
the full head. Or if all else fails, you do your roots so that you do your ends so you know that if there is some breakage or damage, it's not going to hit your whole head.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Or you do a row so
mhm,
if you have to lose any, you're only losing
yeah.
small.
Because you just can't predict. You know, the other thing is when I started doing this work, I was like, wow, because obviously I used to perm and my hair used to break in certain areas, and you don't realize how different the textures are and how they
Yeah,
come
absolutely.
differently when you color. Like some areas can take the color, another area will break, and you don't realize that it's as a result of that. Like there's just so much going on. And I feel like my work that I do now is very illusiony. Like it gives you the illusion, like my hair. Perfect example. My hair looks full. Of course, it's full because of the knots. Without the knots, my hair could never be this full. If it was just purely interlocking, it just wouldn't work because you're just backward braiding with a tool. And with your hair, Patrice, what I've tried to create every time you're in my chair is that illusion of actually fullness. So when somebody touches, go, wow, you've got a lot of hair, it's thick, but actually it's the knots. So therefore, if it's colored in the wrong way or over-colored, even though it feels thick, you might find the strands or those knots are affected by it. And so that's where I'm like, it is exploration because we don't know. But like you said about accountability, let's say in the future, you're like, you know what, Mel, I just wanted to color. You know that we've already looked at all the possibilities and the consequences are the consequences. If your hair flourishes, great. If there are little challenges, I try my best because I just like freedom of choice, Patrice. I just feel like rock our hair, we want to rock our hair. And there shouldn't be a consequence of because you've got small size locks, you shouldn't be allowed to do. I feel like we all should be allowed to do what the hell we want to do because we're grown. And then we'll deal with the consequences of it. And it doesn't have to be negative. You know what I mean? Like I've known you for 3 years. I've been doing your hair for 3 years. And you've colored
Yeah, it'll be 4 years in November.
Oh my God, Patrice, the time has gone so
I
fast.
know.
Yeah. And you've only colored your hair 3 times, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've only colored it 3 times. But what's good about the knots is it brings in the growth. That's what I love. It's like you come in and you're like, oh my God, I've really felt like coloring, but I thought, let me do then you do your hair and you realize actually it's that much. But the ombre look it just suits you. The look suits you, Patrice. It really, really does suit you. So I think that I've got all the information I need about your hair. I don't know whether you have any questions for me, love. Do you have any questions? And it's all right, you don't have questions, Patrice.
Do I have any questions? How has it been watching your knotted locks develop and unfold like they have? Because I know I was your first one, and I know your son is one, and there's a couple other around the time. So how has it been actually watching your hair, your knotted locks develop over the last 4 years, actually coming to fruition fully, like in this way?
Great, Patrice. It's emotional as a Black woman, who my identity was tied up in my hair. To know that I can reflect each of you, your identities, and your languages are wonderful. Like your languages are wonderful. Each of you have different density, and each of you communicate in a really responsible, accountable way about your hair. And each of you celebrate your hair from the thickest, fullest client to the finest one. Everybody accepts and knows their hair texture. So whilst Melissa's trying to create fullness, the client is the one who'd be like, Mel, that's what my hair does. I love that. I love the fact that each person, apart from it looking as beautiful as it possibly can, because they know where they came from, I think people interrupting me and going, Mel, that's what my hair does. That's what's been the greatest thing. So I'm in awe. Every time a client gets out of the chair, I'm in awe. From a client who I started their hair, to my own children, to my hair, girl, because my hair never used to look this full. What is going on? It's like magic. To clients who I'm teaching now online, his hair is transforming and sending me images. And it's globally growing. Like it's crazy. And it's growing for the right reason because we 100% 360 celebrate our hair and we don't have to, because Knotted Locs was created for the curliest hair, because that's the hair that people who are like, oh, it's difficult, it's hard to manage and all of that. It was created for that. And so my client who has the most, like I say to her, on the spectrum of African hair, you are there, right? She has the most African hair, right? It looks gorgeous on her. To the client who has the finest hair, right? And so for me, I just think it's great. Even clients who used to have, like, came from Sisterlocks, and I'm knotting their hair now, everybody started off being a bit afraid of these knots because they had the knots, right? They had the knots. And obviously Sisterlocks has a space where it tells you what happens when you knot. Like literally they clear out to tell you the
Yeah.
degradation and demise you're going to experience when you put knots in your hair. So by the end of that session, as a client, as a learner trying to learn to be a consultant, you're like, knots, no. To actually see what they do is, oh my God, it's just, for me, it's emotional for a black, dark-skinned woman with tightly curled African hair who felt like I just walked around with ugly hair. Oh my God. Patrice, I'm in the West End. I'm meeting up a friend. I've not seen her for such a long time. And she's just like, oh my God, Melissa, wow, you look amazing, right? And then I get young girl tap me, young black girl tap my gray hair and go,
Mm.
sorry, I just have to let you know, your hair is beautiful. I
Mm.
mean, talk about representation. That's what it's about. It's about representation. And so for me, it's just super emotional. I am in awe of the fact that this is happening now. And it came from my need for freedom, self-expression, love.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Because that's purely what it's about. So when people say, oh, I don't know what it's going to look like, I'm like, I think I'm much more feeling based. So go and research me because it's every relationship I form, Patrice, is relationship based. I don't just do, if somebody calls me and they start throwing commands at me on the phone, I know I'm unavailable. I'm just not available, when they're inquiring. So the people I take on have taken the time to research, they've taken the time to understand what I'm like and all of that, because I like the space of the unknown and I like the space of change. Not
Mm.
everybody is comfortable with the unknown or change. So the next session I have
Yeah.
with you, you're sitting in the chair and I'm going to change something because I can see growth. The hair feels different. This one needs to be strengthened. I can change that area. I can do that. I can do that. And you have to be open to the fact that every time it's not just a relocking session, it's me reconstructing, re-strengthening, and doing other things, right? So
Mm.
that's what I
Mm.
love about it is the fact that everybody's getting their own version of Knotted Locs, their own version of Melissa's vision. Every single
Mm.
person, from the online clients to the ones in the chair to even my children, for my daughter to be a lifeguard and a swim teacher now, not worried about her hair at all. Looking, it's a
Mm.
gift. Do you know, I feel like this is when I started thinking about doing the interviews, I thought legacy work. Let there be a trace of those who started this historical change where 360, it's all right to have your hair in locks, in the size that you choose, living with your regrowth. That's a really important part of it, that living with having your growth and having that. So if people find that messy, then I always know that that's not what this is about. This is about a relationship with your African hair. Like when your hair was natural, and you were trying to form a relationship, but it was really hard because it's like it's loose and it was, with this now you've got the water, you've got the oil, you've got lock at the end, but you also have a relationship with your hair. So my daughter is
Mm.
not rushing, Mommy, you need to do my hair. I do her hair twice a year, or maybe even once a year now, because her hair's so fine, so soft, and she's absolutely
Mm.
cool and fine with it. You're
And there's a bigger movement for, I think, women across with all different type of locks that are trying to live with their regrowth a little bit more. For example, I was showing you another
yes,
lady. I think we know as Black women, our hair, as much as we love it and we want to give it what it needs, it's time consuming.
yes.
It's so time consuming to wash your hair, detangle it, retie it, whatever it is. And so there's more and more women that are trying to live with their lock regrowth for a bit longer, like without sitting down and doing the tie or putting the stress on the strands. And yeah, it's important to give yourself that luxury as well.
Patrice, I'm doing the research now, yeah? Guess what? You're right. So many women don't want to do their hair. They want to live with it. There are people who are doing the work, don't agree.
Mm-mm-mm.
And so that's the problem. And that's where I feel like that's where Knotted Locks come in because it's about self-empowerment. So these women want to live with their growth, but the consequences, Patrice, when they sit in the chair is just trauma because the
Mm.
person in the chair is trying to just get their hair done as quickly as
Mm.
possible because they have another client and the consequences, cost of it and all of that. So
And
there
they
is
don't want to,
movement.
the loctician doesn't want to do that much
It
regrowth.
does
They
not.
don't want to sit and
They don't
do
want to.
the month, and it's important to have women like you that are empowering and supporting that growth, because a lot of women are turning to do it themselves. And
Yes,
yeah, that in itself is empowering. Like,
that's
I want to be able
empowering.
to maintain my hair more,
Yes,
but actually going to, we know in the hairdresser is where we grow, we learn so much from each other, the stories and stuff. And actually, it's so important for our younger Black women, especially, to still have that experience and have it safely. So there's a
100%.
balance between living with it, learning yourself, and being able to go
100%.
to someone safely to
100%.
have that
Perfect
moment.
example. Let me
Yeah.
tell you what my vision is, right? Like for my clients, let's say you want to travel, yeah? You want to go away for a year or two, you want to travel, yeah? Or you want to do 3 months for my dream is for each person, but okay, because it's nice when we catch up and you sit in the chair, but I want you to
Yeah.
have that freedom, but also for you to be able to come and sit in the chair and also for you to do your hair. Does that make sense? So let's say you say to
Yeah,
me, I'm
absolutely.
off for 2 years or whatever, or Mel says, you know what, I'm going to go and live in Sierra Leone for a while or whatever. I can empower you. And then when I'm back, you can sit in the chair. That blended experience is really important. And that's something
Mm.
that's what I'm trying to research. Because what I've researched so far is more women want to live with their growth, but their
Mm.
indoctrination when the loctician's doing their hair is it's not good, it's not pretty, it's not good, it's not, and so they're suffering as a result. And then the hands, and
Mm.
then it's tight, and then their hair loss and
It
all of
has to be slick, it
it
has to
has
be
to be
uniform, it
neat.
has to be
Yeah. Yeah. People
mm.
are worried about the inconsistency and all. And I'm like, but your curl, your one strand does that and then straight, and then we're perfectly imperfect.
Mm. Mm.
So why not just, but I'm doing my bit because I'm Black and my descendants are going to be Black. My children are Black. So I need to do my bit. I feel like I'm
Absolutely.
doing this is my bit, my legacy work. This is my bit. And then I mean, my daughter's going to absorb that. I can see her absorbing because she's had locks since she's been like in her teens, you know. So I have my sons. So hopefully we're slowly, this revolution, which it shouldn't be really, about embracing your own texture and having the small size locks just takes off, grows and grows. And you're part of it, love. Like you're part of it because you're doing this with me. Everyone who comes here who talks to me about their hair and their Knotted Locs experience is adding that. You're doing the legacy work. We're representing ourselves. We're speaking from a place of love, clear joy, identity that we have, and loving the texture we have, because each and every one of us have different texture hair on the one head, like you know, so
Mm.
many things is going on. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're representing ourselves, and I'm so grateful, girl. Like you are the first. You're the first. I tell you who's going to be excited to see you, and she's going to message me is Rudo.
Oh
Because whenever
yeah.
Rudo sees your hair, because both of you have this color and both of you
Yeah.
around the same time, as stopped around the same time. She goes, that looks like my hair, but it's not. Who's is that Patriche? So when she sees this, she'll be like, oh, I want to come and talk.
I bet. How is she? How is she getting on?
It's great. Listen to me about her, right? This is what I love. Yeah. She's supposed, I don't count. I don't know when I was last, because we, just like how me and you, like we can communicate. So I don't know when people sit in the chair because we communicate outside
Yeah.
of it. Anyway, she's meant to get her hair done like in the next week or two, but she's doing her master's and
Mm.
she's traveling to Zimbabwe. And she's like, too much is going on right now. Like, I'll just do it when I come back from Zimbabwe. No consequence.
Yeah.
Hair's not
Lovely.
gonna fall off. It's fine. Because I want you when you come, you're like, let's you sit in the chair comes on, and it's a therapy session, right? It's a
Yeah,
therapy
of
session.
course.
Yeah, yeah. So I prefer that than she comes in the chair and she's stressed and she's thinking about packing and she's thinking about finishing off stuff and all of that. That's what it's like. That's why Knotted Locks exists. It exists to slot into support your lifestyle rather than you
Mm.
running and trying to get your hair done.
Mm.
Like get your hair done when it suits you because you're grown.
Yeah. Of
That
course.
yeah, so that she reflects that when she sent me that message, I was like, yeah, that's great, love. I'll catch up with you after. But she should come on. She will come on and be interviewed like you, but you're the first, you're historic. Thank you so much, Patrice. How do you think it went? How was it?
And lovely. It was just like having a chat.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So
All right. No worries.
I will now do something with this and then I'll put it out there and I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you. Look, any questions? I think we covered
Hello.
everything.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I love you, girl. Thank you so
I love you
much.
too. It's okay.
Have a
Sleep
good
well when
night.
you go.
Say
Take
that again,
care.
love.
I said sleep well when you go
I
to bed.
will. I will. This is exciting. I'm going to have to like find a way to calm
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Thank you, love. Love, 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 love,
Bye.
love you. Bye,
Take care. Love you.
Patrice.
Bye. Bye.
Yes.